Okay, so our newest single is called Project Apathy, and this one started, like many of the others, as an Against the Clock, which we've kind of had for a while because we did this in May of 2024. And I think what kept us from releasing it any sooner is this one always felt like a little bit of an outlier. Like, we wanted to get to this sound next. Like, everything in our Static EP was a little softer, but we always wanted to get a little heavier and a little more brash. And so this one was a little punkier, a little snarkier, a little like sassier. And I always wanted like Lucia to get there. Like, I was like, oh, I would love for Lucia to have like a sassy sort of like punky song, because in their solo stuff they kind of do some of that on stage, and I always wanted our music to kind of sound like that.
Well, I never wanted to scare you, but but also no, because every time you would bring this track up, it was one that I think I maybe had listened to after we had recorded it that initial time, and I was like, oh, this is not anything that you would ever want to do.
Oh no, I always
And so
loved this one.
So every time you're like Project Apathy, I was like, I don't.
It's
What?
the I couldn't care less song. You're like, oh yeah,
And then I was
that
like,
one.
yeah, oh okay. You
Well,
love
this
it.
one too,
Great.
like, I know we had chatted before about how you wanted to do something that was a little more linear for a song. Nothing that was like super traditional verse, chorus, verse. Like, you were like, I want to do something that's a little more stream of consciousness or linear. And this one fit that because there are no verses or choruses. It's just kind of like sections. So figuring out the structure was a slight challenge, but in your initial sort of run on our Against the Clock, it did have these like, sections that were kind of just automatically there.
There is kind of a structure with like the fucking like ruminating thoughts and the words, and they're going nonstop. But every now and then it's like, okay, now I gotta take it.
Exactly.
Okay.
There were
And
the
then-
sort of
And here we go again.
the like
But
the
it's-
dynamic
It's
changes.
very frustrating and annoying.
Well, it was a slight challenge figuring out where to put them, but all I knew is like our Against the Clock I already loved that demo that we had. We would listen to it a lot actually once we started really gearing up to kind of work on it, and I knew, well, I don't really want to change much on it. I just want to beef it up. Like, I want to make it sound bigger and the drums to be a little harder, and I want the synths to sound just like a little more wild. So what we did is we again used Lucia's Voyager, the Moog Voyager, and this was actually the first time we got to use our guitar pedals on the Voyager. Lucia was playing the Voyager, or like, fiddling with the knobs on the Voyager, the cutoffs and what have you. And then I had my own like distortion pedals and stuff. And so in tandem, we're like creating these wild sounds that I'm like, I don't know if we'll use all of this, but we'll definitely use some textures. And so I blended that in with our original sounds and just made it sound very one of a kind, but very much what we've been wanting.
Yeah, and also I think like in the small amount of time we've been doing music together, we have like the through lines of our like vocal back and forth. Also like having the Voyager and like creating these samples, and also being very on the same page with like the types of sounds that we want in these songs. And obviously like, I mean, you like being like so fucking good at just like immediately hearing something, and I'm like, I always know like what I like, but also have a hard time editing, and especially with this song, it was like the editing process that obviously you had to do, like just keeping the original takes, but then also like making some kind of like structure or arrangement of it, and also like not making it too busy when it was already such a fucking busy song. So like that also is like,
oh, thanks.
accolades to you.
No, I'll say like what was cool about this one is once we got the new sort of sounds from the Voyager and the distortion pedals, like it was a little challenging to figure out like, oh well, that stuff sounds so like wild. I kind of liked the original stuff that we had. So, but then once I started to blend in all of the Voyager stuff with our original thing, I was like, oh wait, this sounds way cooler. It does sound bigger. Then I added some guitars to it just to kind of like fill out the sound. And I don't know, I just love how big it sounds. And I love that, we didn't really alter too much of the original sort of like feeling that you had from our Against the Clock. We just kind of, beefed it up and just kind of put some polish on it.
Yeah, and for me, like I love that this is the first single for our upcoming album. but also like the next one is gonna be so different and like a ballad, but we still like I think finding our signature that is not in just like the a certain style and mood that is sounding the same throughout the entire album, but like our signature and our like the way we work on things. So yeah, the next one's gonna be like really pretty and sad and a ballad, and then this one was like fuck you, you know.
Exactly.
And I love
yeah.
that, and I love
We were saying like Project
hitting all the
Apathy.
moods.
You know, we wanted to also put it out at a time where, at least right now, it really makes sense to us. Where we kind of consider this like a self-help mantra for us, living in this kind of chaotic world as a queer person. You know, it's easy to see a lot of these words. I don't know if you want to bring the little board over.
Yeah, sure.
When we were like having Lucia relearn the song for recording, there's so many words on it.
It's way easier to ad
You
lib.
lift it up for a second.
It's so easy to ad lib this shit, and then
So yeah, like relearning the song I know is a challenge.
I'm like, why do I do this to myself? I don't know.
But, you know, like, I think living as a queer person, a lot of these things, you know, just living authentically, we recognize fucks with people and it matters to them for some reason. But what we have to do is remind ourselves that we fucking couldn't care less. Like, we have to live authentically as much as possible. And so it's kind of what this song is. It's like this reminder to ourselves that we can't allow the outside criticisms or whatever to kind of make us change who we are.